Hello and welcome. You are watching In Your Interest here on News9 Live. I am Krishna Kumar. First up, a quick check of all our headlines. India's benchmark equity indices Sensex and Nifty close in the red after fluctuating between gains and losses throughout the day. A combination of weak earnings and profit booking offset a post-results rally in HDFC Bank, one of the top private lenders in the country. Sensex dropping around 70 points, finishing below the 8200 mark. Similarly, the Nifty also down roughly 70 points, closing below 24,800. The total market capitalization of all companies on the Bombay Stock Exchange fall by about 5 lakh crore rupees. Waaree Energy's IPO has received a great response from investors, with the issue being subscribed over 3 times on the first day of bidding. The demand was led by non-institutional investors who bid for 8.2 times the quota earmarked for them. The part meant for retail investors fetches around 3.3 times subscription. The qualified institutional buyers portion was booked 8%. Torrent Power, the energy division of the Gujarat-based Torrent Group, is reportedly planning to raise around 3,000 to 4,000 crore rupees through a qualified institutional placement or QIP of shares. According to reports, the proposed QIP aims to build a substantial cash reserve to fuel acquisitions and support organic growth initiatives. The funds will be used for key capital expenditures on new products, meeting working capital requirements and repaying existing debt. This strategic move positions Torrent Power to further strengthen its presence in the energy sector while pursuing growth opportunities. After nearly 100 flights received bomb threats in 7 days since the 14th of October, Union Civil Aviation Minister Ram Mohan Naidu says safety is the government's top priority and rules are being amended to put people who make such calls on the no-fly list. Making such threats will also be made a cognizable offence with provisions for punishment and fines. The minister says multiple meetings have been held with stakeholders since the spate of bomb hoax calls began, and amendments are being considered in the aircraft security rules so that people making such threats can be identified and taken to task. Hydrogen produced using renewable power is starting to sell for less than that made with natural gas in India, says green hydrogen producer Hygenco. The country is reliant on imports to meet its demand for natural gas, and that expense is reflected in the price of so-called grey hydrogen that may be tilting the balance in favour of the green version, which has typically been far costlier to produce. On In Your Interest, the big story we're taking up is the bomb hoax nightmare that has gripped India's skies. Hoax bomb threats continue to plague Indian airlines and passengers. A wave of hoax bomb threats to Indian airlines were made in the past 2 weeks, with as many as 90 such posts made in the last week alone. Nearly 100, causing suffering to thousands of people on these flights while adding to the financial woes of airlines. Reports suggest that nearly 70% of these threats were made from one single source, an anonymous, unverified account on social media platform X that posted threats to 46 domestic and international flights of Indian carriers in 2 days. These include Air India, Vistara, IndiGo, Akasa Air, Alliance Air, SpiceJet and Star Air. While Star Air received threats for 4 of its flights, others got similar messages for 5 flights each. One Twitter handle alone made 12 threats on Friday night and 34 on Saturday. The posts had an identical message. There are bombs on board 5 of your planes. No one will make out alive. Hurry up and evacuate the plane, unquote. Active till Saturday afternoon, the handle has been since suspended by the social media platform. Apart from all the pain and agony it causes to flyers like you and me, airlines are losing a substantial sum of money to these hoax threats. In the event of a hoax bomb threat, a security protocol kicks in. Boarding is halted or passengers are deboarded, and authorities move scores of planes to isolation bays at airports for detailed checks. In the process, airlines shell out a hefty sum of money. This includes extra money for fuel for landing and parking charges. The cost of putting up around 200 customers in different hotels if the flight doesn't take off overnight, and compensation to passengers for their time. The total cost of all expenditures, including fuel, comes in excess of 3 crore rupees per flight for an airline. Given Sunday to Thursday, Indian Airlines received around 40 hoax bomb threats on a single day. The extra expense incurred is close to 60 to 80 crore rupees already. In the month of June, more than 40 airports received hoax bomb threats via email in a single day. Between the years of 2014 and 2017, authorities recorded 120 bomb hoax threats at airports. The dramatic rise in bomb threats and social media from anonymous accounts has complicated efforts to identify the perpetrators. Hoax bomb threats are often linked to malicious intent, attention-seeking actions, mental health issues, or simply pranks. Last week, Indian authorities arrested a 17-year-old school dropout for creating a social media account to issue such threats. He is believed to have targeted 4 flights, 3 international, resulting in 2 delays, 1 diversion and 1 cancellation. While Indian law mandates life imprisonment for threats to airport safety or service disruption, the menace of hoax bomb threats is unabated. In the light of the problem, the government is now mulling legislation to ensure 5-year imprisonment, as well as placing offenders on a no-fly list for hoax bomb threats. Let's first listen to what India's Aviation Minister Naidu had to say.
We see that if we want to address these kind of threats that have been happening, or you want to take strict action against the people who are behind this when there is a fake or a hoax threat that they are trying to do, then we have to cover the act on the ground and at the airport also. So we are trying to make an amendment. Our legal team has worked very thoroughly on this, and we are coming up with an amendment, and then we are taking in, because this has to be a legal change in the act, we need consultation from other stakeholders, other ministries also. So we are in that process right now, but we are definitely pushing forward to bring a change in the Suwaska Act also, so that it addresses for these kind of offences which happen when the flight is on ground, so that we can take strict action on them, we can make it cognizable offence. So that is one area that we are looking forward to. And when it comes to the offences that have already progressed, so over the last 7 days, over the last 1 week, if you look at the number, then 8 flights have been diverted. And many of the times, because we are keeping the situation dynamic, whenever these kind of threats are happening, we, especially our BCAS team and the ministry team, we are keeping the situation dynamic. We are assessing situation by situation, what kind of threat they are giving. Are they mentioning the specific flight or the airport, or what kind of threat they are trying to showcase through their tweet or everything. On top of that, to efficiently tackle that situation, whatever is required, our BCAS has also been very immediate in trying to efficiently utilize the infrastructure that is there, or if they need to do any more.
And now we have a couple of special guests joining us to help us understand the situation better. We have Mr. Parvez Damania, aviation expert and one of the first players in India's aviation space, joining us. Parvez, thank you so much for taking time out to be with us. We also have Mr. Kanishk Gaur, CEO of India Future Foundation and former MD of Protivity, joining us. Kanishk, thank you for being with us. Let me begin with you, Parvez. Parvez, an airline loses well in excess of 3 crore rupees for every single flight that gets a bomb hoax threat. I mean, considering the situation that airlines are already fighting, this is difficult. It's a high cash flow business. A loss like this will only add pressure to India's evolving aviation landscape.
Thank you for inviting me to your show. You're absolutely correct. This is a huge financial pressure on the airlines. The financial pressure is just not that much. It goes out in the subject. The snowballing effect is huge. Further flights get delayed, further flights get cancelled, passenger connections are lost, passengers have to be compensated, inconvenience to passengers. And the passengers 3 flights later won't understand why the flight is late. He's going to scream and shout. So this is a huge inconvenience. And I heard the minister, I think the government is taking every step possible to solve this matter. They're failing to understand why suddenly this issue has become so big. In the past, these things used to happen, but very randomly and seldom. Now suddenly the number has increased tremendously. Plus, it has covered almost, I think, all airlines, which is also very, very bad. So the laws definitely need to be amended. Laws need to be made more strict. Also, I think the government needs to start an awareness project. This issue is very serious, and these are the consequences if you do these kind of crazy things. And I hope this thing comes under control. It's definitely affecting the airline, not only financially, but even inconveniencing the passengers to a very, very high extent. So I think, right now what is happening, the Bombay police are doing their own thing, the Delhi police are doing their own thing. A national level body needs to be appointed to monitor the situation and sort this out. Of course, the government, you see, these people are using technology, whoever these people are. And I'm sure our government is using technology to the maximum effect. So ultimately, I hope this matter dies down because this is very, very serious. It's getting more and more serious every day. So let's just pray, hope that the government's action works, laws are amended, and this thing dies down as soon as possible.
Okay. Kanishk, the problem here is that the government is talking about, putting the perpetrators on a no-fly list and imprisonment and etc. etc. But the problem is identifying the perpetrators. First, you don't know where they are coming from because, they're random social media accounts. Yes, a 17-year-old was apprehended, but it's clearly not one 17-year-old.
See, we've made laws to tackle this, but the implementation of those laws haven't happened. We created the significant social media intermediary guidelines in June 2022, but the actual enforcement happens when such issues crop up. You also have to hold the social media platforms accountable. If it is happening via Twitter and you see fake news and misinformation being perpetrated on a regular basis, then how is the platform responding to it? By taking down this tweet or the actual handle, that hasn't happened on a timely basis. So we need stricter measures, enforcement, rather than bringing new law. I've heard the Honorable Minister talk about bringing out a new law, but using the existing law is definitely needed here. And the guidelines have to be made in a way that people are put behind bars for such perpetration, which has been done on a regular basis. I'm surprised the social media handle still remains, not suspended. Right? That's absolutely a no-go. This account should have been disabled. The perpetrator should have been captured. The second aspect is the VPN service providers who are still not following the law of the land by giving the details of these perpetrators. A lot of these perpetrators hide behind VPNs, and we have a law that VPN service providers have to provide the logs and the IP addresses. That has not happened.
Right, Parvez, in the event of us not being able to actually, identify who these people are, what can airlines do? What can strict laws do?
See, airlines can just follow the protocol, take maximum precaution possible, see that security checks are carried out to the maximum extent. But the airlines can't go after these people. It's only the government body and the law and the ministries can go after this. The airlines can only take precautions. Plus, sometimes people feel that should airlines follow up every threat possible? I think it's extremely important that the airlines should follow every threat as if it's real, follow the entire protocol, no matter what the cost, no matter what the time, no matter what inconvenience to passengers, but the entire protocol has to be followed. The airlines are in a fix because the minute the airlines get the information, they have to do whatever possible, divert, ground, take it to a secure bay. And these costs also would be astronomical when aircrafts are diverted in international destinations. So the airlines just have to protocol now. Really, it's up to the government of India and the ministry and the BCAS to see how the perpetrators are brought to book, what legal action is to be taken, because the airline can't take any legal action. The airlines can only file a complaint. So I'm sure the government is working on it, and I hope some solution comes so that this becomes a very big saving grace for the airline, which is hitting the airline industry very badly right now.
The BCAS that you're talking about, the Bureau for Civil Aviation Security, did hold a meeting with all the big airlines in the country, yes, the CEOs of all the big airlines in the country. What do you think the directive would have been from their end? Because what can airlines do if they get a threat? They have to follow every single procedure.
They have whatever is in their operation manual, whatever the protocol prescribed in the operation manual approved by the government of India, DGCA, they have to follow the protocol. I don't think the airlines can miss out anything. Only, I think, serious punishments serious actions against the people who are doing these things will become a deterrent and will slowly stop over a period of time. The airlines can't do anything beyond following the strictest possible measures of protocol, security checks, double security checks, whatever they can do. The airlines can't penalize, go after these people. The airlines can only file complaints.
Airlines can only file complaints. The word coming in from Parvez Damania. Parvez, thank you so much for taking time out to be with us here on In Your Interest to weigh in with your perspective. Hope to keep having you on the show again and again. But for now, we'll let you go. Thank you so much for being with us. And with that, it's time for a short breather here on In Your Interest. We'll be back with lots more on the other side. Keep watching News 9 Live.
A warrior so brave he'll forever be hailed. Maharashtra is the hit.
Maharashtra tourism.
For the very first time in our investigation, we unmasked the killer of Ravindra Matre.
In 5G, we have to stand with the world, and in 6G, we have to lead the world.
Winning a Grammy was an absolutely surreal experience.
Joe Biden is not going to be the Democratic presidential nominee.
I made my choice. Kamala Harris. She's experienced, she's tough, she's capable.
I took on perpetrators of all kinds, predators. So hear me when I say, I know Donald Trump's type.
I am the one saving democracy.
He has tapped into the fear and anxiety about demographic change in the US.
This polarization in the United States. Some people are even suggesting that there could be a civil war.
You are this unable to solve your own domestic problems. You have no right to claim to be anybody else in the world. And we're moving into a multipolar world where the United States will not lead.
This and more. Streaming on News9 Plus. Subscribe and get free vouchers.
You're watching In Your Interest, and time now to put the focus on GE mains for 2025. The National Testing Agency has approved a new format now. In a major update for engineering and architecture aspirants, the National Testing Agency, or NTA, has announced changes to the Joint Entrance Examination, or GE Main 2025. The exam will now no longer feature optional questions in Section B, a change that will impact all three papers. Paper 1 for BE and BTech, Paper 2A for B Architecture, and Paper 2B for B Planning. The option questions were originally introduced to address challenges posed by COVID-19 pandemic, allowing students to choose 5 out of 10 questions. However, following the World Health Organization's declaration in May 2023 that the COVID-19 public health emergency had ended, the NTA has decided to return to the original exam format. The agency has assured candidates that details about the revised examination pattern will be provided in the GE Main 2025 Information Bulletin. We have Mr. Keshav Karunakar now joining us to help us understand this better. Keshav, talk to us. What kind of an impact will this new format have on the students?
Good evening, Sai. Thanks for having me. So this is a good step. If you remember the NEET fiasco that has happened of rank inflation, the rank inflation was seen in IIT mains also, JEE mains also. So because of COVID, NTA tried to reduce the burden on the students. There are options given. Out of the 10 questions, you can select 5. Same problem is there with the NEET also. NEET also, you get the options to select questions. I'm assuming that this will be carried forward with NEET. It's a good step. Basically, there's no benefit in giving this type of choices in competitive exam, creating the rank inflation, and then have the students suffer for this reason. So I welcome this step. This is in the right direction.
Is a step in the right direction, Keshav, and you're also saying that the fact that like this step will now, the National Testing Agency will now look to expand this and make sure that this applies to other competitive exams, not just GE.
Yes, at least for NEET, it should be applied to NEET because the whole fiasco or hangama happened because of NEET exam. Last year, if you remember, the exam that has happened. And there also you have physics, biology, chemistry, all the papers. You have options out of that you can select based on whatever you want to choose. So this will go off and this will hopefully reduce. And I'm confident it will reduce because in the choices, people have different options to do it. So it's in the right direction. And in the IIT mains also, this is a good step done by the NTA.
And in that sense, it is the right time as well because the COVID-19 pandemic has been declared as something that's over and done with, and considering the confusion that we had around NEET earlier in the year, it's important for greater standardization and examination procedures in this country, isn't it?
Yes, it is indeed. You see this, the kind of hangama that happened with the NEET time. People lost faith in the system. Almost it was like people were saying that what type of question is that 61 people are getting 720 or 720. Same inflation was there in the IIT also, but it was not raised that high because of NEET exam. Only one exam is there. IIT had 2 exams. A student appear in that to get double chance, but NEET you don't get second chance. So competitive exams where seats are less, there is no point in making question either easy or giving multiple choices, options of the selection. So it doesn't help. Board exams and other places, it's okay because bulk of the people, the purpose is to pass them. But in competency exam, it's not in the interest of the students' opportunity. And this is the right step taken by the NTA.
Right. And Keshav, one last thing. So for now, the paper 1 for BE and BTech, paper 2A for Bachelor of Architecture and paper 2B for Bachelor of Planning. These three, all three of the GEE are the ones that will be covered by this. So does that mean that students will have a tougher time preparing for it, considering the leeway that they got in the recent times?
No, it is not tougher time. If you see the people who qualify, they prepare for the toughest thing, right? It is only going to have that you will not have rank inflation. You will have really good talent qualifying this because it's a competency exam and it's a process of rejection. It's not a process of selection. So the results will have merit. Results will be honored by the students. So it is not going to be tough for the students who are going to qualify. Anyway, who is not qualifying, the exam has to be tough. Then only because number of seats are less. So you can't have easy exams in the process. And because they've done for BE, planning, architect, everything, I'm assuming that they will soon announce for the NEET as well.
So we'll leave it at that. Keshav Karunakar, thank you so much for taking time out to be with us here.
Thanks,
for this big story that we're tracking. And with that, we have completely run out of time here on this edition of In Your Interest. Thank you so much for watching. This is Krishna Kumar signing off.
Why is the state not looking at putting an embargo on that?
As a Telangana person, I will not accept.
How do ordinary folks deal with this?
Chief Justice of India D.Y. Chandrachud has nominated Justice Sanjeev Khanna as his successor upon retirement. Justice Khanna is only second to CJI Chandrachud in terms of seniority in the Supreme Court. With CJI Chandrachud set to retire on 10th November, he wrote to the Union Law Ministry starting the Memorandum of Procedure, a document which includes the process for appointing the Chief Justice of India, seeking the recommendation of the outgoing CJI. Who is Justice Sanjeev Khanna? next in line to be India's Chief Justice. News9 Plus decodes. Born on 14th May 1960, Sanjeev Khanna enrolled as an advocate with the Bar Council of Delhi in 1983. He started his practice in the district courts of the Tisari district and later moved to the Delhi High Court. He was appointed as the Standing Counsel Civil for the National Capital Territory of Delhi in 2004. He was elevated to an additional judge of the Delhi High Court in 2005 and became a permanent judge by 2006. Interestingly, he did not serve as the Chief Justice of any High Court before his appointment as a judge in the Supreme Court of India. He was made a judge of the Supreme Court on 18th January 2019. He held the post of Chairman, Supreme Court Legal Service Committee from June 17, 2023 till December 25, 2023.